Hello and welcome to our online meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are glad that you could be here with us today and celebrate this great service with Joan, who's going to talk to us about love today. And so I welcome all of you. And guess what? I have no announcements. Nobody sent me any. So we'll just enter our space of worship. Now we will light our chalice, and if you have a chalice with you, I hope you will join in lighting yours while I light my candle. We'll say our words together. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning. Back in late October or early November, my neighbor's got a new dog. He's a cute little dog. He has soft brown fur and is very friendly. His name, I was told, is Kevin. Now, seeing the puzzlement on my face when my neighbors told me the dog's name was Kevin, she said that she had had a dream about a dog, and in the dream, the dog's name was Kevin. So she named their new dog Kevin. When I told another neighbor that we had a new dog in the neighborhood, she asked, "What kind is he?" "I don't know," I replied. "He's small and cute and has soft brown fur, and his name is Kevin." That was all I needed to know about him, not what kind he was. He's a cute little lovable dog whose name is Kevin. Kevin. Somehow that name resonated with something inside of me. Kevin. Can you feel it? It took me about a week to put my finger on it. My whole body was resonating a feeling of love. Kevin. Where was that feeling coming from? Aha, a commercial. That was it. I had no idea what the commercial was trying to sell, but the message I got was love. So I Googled Kevin the commercial, and the commercial came up on my computer. It starts with a new mother in a hospital bed introducing their newborn son, Kevin, to his father. It takes you through snippets of Kevin's life, all the way to the scene of another hospital bed where the mother lay dying with her now adult son next to her. And once more, she says his name, Kevin. I don't care what the sponsors of that commercial thought they were selling. For me, it was selling love. It doesn't matter what name you call it by. It was love. Kevin. The commercial calls it trusted advice for life. Kevin. Love. So today I am here to sell you trusted advice for life, to sell you on the idea of love. What is the answer? Love is the answer. What form that love takes does not matter. It's all around us. It's part of our very being. Can you feel it? It is what it is. It is our connection to each other and all of creation. Here at UUCC, we come from very diverse religious backgrounds. A few of you were purebred Unitarian Universalists. But most of us are mongrels, bringing with us a variety of religious traditions that we were either raised in or have picked up along the way, or both. I have referred to us as a motley group. There are represented among us Catholics, Protestants, Jews, Baptists, Mormons, Wiccans, pagans, atheists, earth-based religions, and probably others that I don't know about or have forgotten. Together, we are the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. It is our diversity that is our strength. The all is one. And that one that unites us all, the common denominator, is love. Let us open our service this morning with our opening hymn, number 22, Dear Weaver of Our Lives, Design.
Now's the time to share our story for all ages. And I'm going to share a story called A Color of His Own. Happens to be out of a book called Frederick's Fables. And of course, it's a story for all ages from the very youngest. There it is. Elephants are gray. In this book, it says goldfish are red. Parrots are green, and pigs are pink. Well, I've seen brown pigs and golden fish and parrots with all colors, but this isn't my book. All animals have a color of their own. Well, except for this one, this chameleon. His changes color whenever he goes anyplace new. So when he's on a lemon, he's kind of yellow. And in the heather, he's purple. And on a tiger, he becomes striped. One day, a chameleon who was sitting on the tiger's tail said to himself, if I remain on a leaf forever, I'll be green forever. And so I too will have a color of my own, just like all the other animals. And with this thought, he cheerfully sat on the green leaf. But you know what happened. In autumn, the green leaf turned yellow. And later in the fall, it turned red. And he changed color right along with it. And finally, the winds blew the leaf away and he fell to the ground. Well, he spent the whole dark, long winter night. But when spring came, he walked out into the green grass, and there, for the first time, he met another chameleon. He told his sad story. Won't we ever be a color of our own? He asked. I'm afraid not, said this older and wiser chameleon. But, that chameleon added, why don't we stay together? We will still change color wherever we go, but you and I will always be alike. And so they remained side by side. And they were purple together, and green, and yellow, and red with white polka dots. And they lived happily ever after because they learned to enjoy their colors together. Thank you so much for listening to that story. Now it's the time for us to do our joys and sorrows. If you will get yourself comfortable, think about all those things that have passed through as joys and sorrows in the last time. And those that you're willing, please share in the chat box. If you're watching on YouTube, you could share in the message box or not. We had so many things to share in our joys and sorrows. I would like to start with a message that just came to us this morning. Rita Capazio, whom most of us know, her father just passed away unexpectedly with a heart attack just before Christmas. And so I know this has been a hard time for her, and I hope we'll keep her in our hearts as well. We also know that many of us were thankful for time with family members, and we know that we have family members and friends and other people we just know who have tested positive for COVID, and we keep them in our hearts. We are happy that vaccines are near. Other things make us happy as well, and that is the idea of Secret Elf. And a special thanks went out to all the people who participated in that program. And a special thanks goes out to, in our chat line, for all those people who are so selfless to work in COVID centers and to move from possibly a relatively safe practice into one that's not as safe. We're blessed to have these people who make their commitment to us, to all of us. For all those joys and sorrows not spoken today, not shared, we hold you with those joys and sorrows in our hearts. Now is the time for collection. As you know, collection is the way we survive as a church and the way we do all of our good work in the church. You can make your collection if you want through online collection at Canandaigua connect, or you can make it by mail at 3024 Cooley Road in Canandaigua, 14424. And I put those in the chat box so you can see them if you need to have that reminder to, you could even copy them and cut and paste them in your reminders if you're on an actual computer, and then you would have a reminder. If you're making pledges, so note it on your check that you mail in or on your online connection. If you're making it to this service, please mark the date. Know that our service today and every day of this month, 1/4 of our income goes to the Rochester Mutual Aid Society, a group of people who have gotten together to try to bring together people who have needs with people who can give. And so we welcome our sharing with them as well. Now I need to go back to Joan.
And Joan needs to get herself organized here. Okay, it's time now for our centering and shared silence. In the book of Genesis, we read that in the act of creation, the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. The Hebrew word that is translated as spirit is ruach. It could also be translated as breath or wind. It is a force that you cannot see. You can only see the effects of it. The wind blows and things move. It can be a gentle breeze, or it can be a devastating hurricane, destroying everything in its path. It was the way they tried to imagine the creative power at work in the action of creation. A power that cannot be seen, but is nonetheless felt and real. Ruach, spirit, the breath of life. In Buddhist meditation, we are encouraged to pay attention to our breath, breathing in and breathing out. I'd like to suggest to you today that there is a connection, a common use of a metaphor pointing to an elusive, creative power in the world. Awareness of our breath is a way to acknowledge and connect to the spirit of life, the source of our being. I invite you now to enter into an attitude of meditation, sitting silently and comfortably, with your eyes closed or open. It doesn't matter which. Become aware of your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Draw the air in and let it go. In and out. When other thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge their presence. Let them go and come back to your breathing. In and out. I've entitled my sermon today, Where is the Love? One day, many years ago, when I was a chaplain intern at a hospital in Pennsylvania, I walked into a room where there was an older man sitting alone, confined to a jerry chair. He was locked in, unable to get out of the chair or to move around. The room was empty. No get well cards, no reading material, no flowers, no TV, no radio, no lights, and no visitors other than me. Just one lonely man sitting in the dark. He was angry. Angry at the nurses and the doctors whose only contact with him was to administer a shot or to give him medicine. I feel like a pincushion, he said. Those doctors and nurses, they think they have all the answers. Why, they even have to ask me if I have a headache. They don't have all the answers. Only God has all the answers. I spent some time with him that day, mostly listening to what he had to say and just being there with him, getting to know him as a person. He had a different way of looking at things that opened my eyes to other possibilities. This man had a unique perspective on the world. He knew that he didn't have all the answers, but neither did others. He lived in a group home with people like him, others who had been labeled by society as developmentally challenged, or what we used to call mentally retarded. After having spent some time with him, I began to question who was developmentally challenged, him or me? I came away thinking that I was pretty sure it was me. And I'm pretty sure that doctors and nurses today know that they don't have all the answers. Sometimes I think religions can come across as thinking that they have all the answers. In the process, they create boxes, walls of separation where no walls were meant to be. They use metaphors to point to greater truths, but get stuck in the orthodox understanding of the metaphor. And when someone like me comes along with a different understanding of the story, they say, "Oh, but that's not how we've always understood that, dear." They don't allow for the possibility of another way of seeing things. Okay, I have an unorthodox way of looking at religion. Some might even choose to call me a heretic. I can live with that. In fact, I wear that designation as a badge of honor. I proudly join others like Thomas Merton, Parker Palmer, and Richard Rohr in trying to take an unorthodox view of religion, trying to see below the surface to the treasures hidden beneath it. I'd like to suggest to you that there is more there than what first meets the eye. The message is not the metaphor. The message is what the metaphor is pointing at. The beauty of being exposed to a variety of religious traditions is that maybe, just maybe, we will eventually get it. When you clear away all of the fluff, all the extra stuff, you get down to the basics. What I found there wasn't some complex, hard to understand theology. It wasn't even a set of beliefs that I was expected to accept at face value, even those that in any other context I would find unbelievable. What I found there was that everyone was pointing at the same thing, a sense of connection with all of creation, a sense of connection called love. They just had different ways to express it, different ways to get there. My beingness is more than my ego's separate self. I am one with all of creation. I am a tiny, unique expression, part of the whole, and I am in awe of that. It is when we gather together with other people and share with them the gifts that we have that we connect to something greater than ourselves. Sam shares with us his love of honeybees and their importance in our world. Marty's love of the earth shows up in his love of daffodils. He has planted thousands in his fields and shares their beauty with us every spring. Dorothy cares about migrant farm workers and draws us into her passion for their rights and well-being. Bill generously shares his musical talents with us. We have people who tend the gardens out front and shovel the snow off our steps and ramps in the winter, people who fix the lights, people who pay the bills. When we get to know one another, we discover that working together, we make a beautiful whole. The bond that we share is love. Along my way, on my road of life, I had occasion to be a chaplain intern at a developmental center. It was there that I met Annie, not her real name. Annie was microcephalic, meaning that her head and brain never grew and developed properly. She was nonverbal and had severe scoliosis, which I'm sure caused her a great deal of pain and limited her ability to walk. The staff on the unit where Annie lived warned me not to get too close to her because she could be combative and would hit or bite if she had a chance. They also told me that she didn't like to be touched. Well, I went over to the bench where she was sitting, sat down on the floor next to her, and quietly opened my hand and offered it to her, palm up. I offered her my hand. I thought I could show it to you, but it doesn't seem to come through just right. Anyway, use your imagination. I offered her my hand. Palm up. After a time, she took her fingers and ran them gently across the palm of my hand. She made a connection. Over time, she accepted my sitting next to her and even rubbing her shoulders and back. Sometimes when I'd go to leave, she'd take my hand and put it back on her shoulders. She didn't want me to stop touching her. This went on for as long as I was at the center. But I knew my time was limited, and I worried about what would happen to Annie when I had to leave. When I went by the unit one day, I looked in and I saw a staff member sitting with Annie, connecting with her. And I gave thanks that the love connection was being passed on. Where is the love? It is in awareness of a connection with another part of creation, accepting that connection and acting on it. That's why we wear masks and keep social distancing in this time of the COVID pandemic. That's why Black Lives Matter. That's why we need to feed the hungry. And global warming needs to be taken seriously. We need to show our connection and love for one another and the world in which we live and have our being. I was born on Christmas Day, 86 years ago. I'm having a hard time believing it, but that's what the calendar says, so chronologically it's true. This year, after celebrating Christmas with my family on Zoom in the morning, opening presents and sharing our love with and for one another, they surprised me by driving over to where I live and standing out on my front lawn, socially distanced from one another, while I stood at the front door. They sang happy birthday to me and gave me a birthday cake in a mug. I stood there with tears streaming down my face, overwhelmed by all the love they expressed for this flawed person that I thought myself to be. Where's the love? It was there. Unconditional, real, overwhelming. Love is what life is all about. Love is a gift that was meant to be shared. There is no shortage of love. It is found everywhere. If we only have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the grace to give and receive it. So let it be. Amen.
Love is all around. 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 Simple acts of compassion guided by grace. Love is all around. Brings your heart to a holy place. Love is all around. 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 When someone's in trouble, you have what they need. Love is all around. Let love be wanting you to hear the glad sound. Love is all around. When you show some kindness, then love will abound. Love is all around. 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 Our closing hymn today is number 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate once
Howard Thurman, a 20th century Black theologian and mystic, saw great power in the symbol of Christmas. For Thurman, what he referred to as the mood of Christmas was not merely in the Christ child, but in what Christmas is offering us across the entire sweep of creation and time. He writes, quote, "The symbol of Christmas, what is it? It is the rainbow arched over the roof of the sky when the clouds are heavy with foreboding. It is the cry of life in the newborn babe. When forced from its mother's nest, it claims its right to live. It is the brooding presence of the eternal spirit, making crooked paths straight, rough places smooth, tired hearts refreshed, dead hopes stir with newness of life. It is the promise of tomorrow, at the close of every day, the movement of life in defiance of death, and the assurance that love is sturdier than hate, that right is more confident than wrong, that good is more permanent than evil. End quote. I pray that as this year ends and the new year dawns, we become aware that love is both in us and all around us, that we accept the presence of that love and that we act on it. Awareness, acceptance, action. The AAA of hope, there to give us assistance along the road of life. So let it be. Amen.
And now we'll extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. We carry these in our hearts until we are together again.